Want to know what kind of believer you are? Well, hold on to your seat, because we're getting ready to deep dive in this series that I'm creating about the 7 churches in Revelation. Yes, they are geographical churches, but they all also represent different types of believers within the church. So if you're ready, let's go ahead and start in Revelation chapter 2 at the message to Ephesus. And it says, to the angel, who's the divine messenger of the church of Ephesus, write, these are the words of the one who holds firmly the 7 stars in his right hand, the one who walks among the 7 golden lampstands. I know your deeds and your toil and your patient endurance, that you cannot tolerate those who are evil, and have tested and critically appraised those who call themselves apostles, and in fact are not, and have found them to be liars and impostors. And I know that you who believe are enduring patiently and are bearing up for my name's sake, that you have not grown weary of being faithful to the truth. But this charge I have against you, that you have left your first love. You have left the depth of love that you first had for me, Jesus Christ. So remember the heights from which you have fallen, and repent, and do the works you did at first. Otherwise, I will visit you and remove your lampstand from its place, unless you repent. Yet you have this credit to you, that you hate the works and corrupt teachings of the Nicolaitans that mislead and delude people, which I also hate. He who has an ear, let him hear. First thing we notice, these people cannot tolerate and critically test prophets and false teachings. This is why they don't like the Nicolaitans, okay? But what's this charge that Christ has against them? It says, you have left your first love. So what does it look like as a believer to sit there and have this critically testing spirit, but yet you have lost your love for Christ? I think we know that modern day as HTT, also known as holier than thou syndrome. Now, we have to kind of look at first what the Nicolaitans actually teach. They taught that it was okay to mix Christianity with pagan ceremonies. They also promoted sexual immorality. They would eat the meat sacrificed to idols. They thought that it was okay to blend the lines between Christianity and the world, that they did not have to stick out from the world. This is what the Nicolaitans taught, and this is what the church at Ephesus did not like. So, how many times, though, have we ourselves sat down and looked at someone who either backslid or was going through a trial, or, even someone who is a non-believer, and we've looked at them before and we're like, you've got to be kidding me. Man, you need Jesus. And I'm not saying that with a loving spirit. I'm saying that with a condemning spirit. How many times have you ran across somebody when you have someone in the church who's maybe not as close in their walk with the Lord as you are, and you're like, well, you just need to sit down and you just need to get right with Jesus. It's that condemning spirit of, I'm better than you because I'm closer to Christ than you are, because I do more things for him. This is what Christ was talking about in the message to the church to Ephesus, having that holier than thou syndrome, where people are looked down upon because they're, quote unquote, not as good, or because, well, they're an unbeliever, or they don't do things the right way, or they don't believe what I believe, so they're wrong, I'm right, I'm holier than them. This is what Christ is talking about in the church to Ephesus. Next video, we're going to touch on the church of Smyrna, and we'll find out what kind of a believer Smyrna actually looks like. So I hope this series is going to be enlightening for people. And I pray that it helps to bring people back to their first love. Because just like in the church at Ephesus, if you don't remember that first fire, that first zeal that you had for the Lord when you were just pouring everything out for him, then you end up starting to do all these acts without the love. Then yes, you might want to ask yourself, or ask Christ rather, if you've developed holier than thou syndrome. I love you, and I'm praying for every one of you. Trust me, when the Lord wanted me to do this series, I was like, oh, I don't want everybody to think I'm picking on him. And he was like, no, I want you to do this so that way people can check their hearts, and that they can make sure that their heart is actually correct with me. So I promise, brothers and sisters, it's 100% out of love. Have a blessed day.